Welcome to another edition of the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig here, host of the game, powered by 91 Network. On this episode here tonight, there is going to be 3 segments. In the first segment, I'll be joined by Connor Henderson, getting into the full reaction about the World Series and also what's to come this offseason in the MLB. In the second segment, I'll be joined by Alex Parr. We'll be getting into all the updates around the ice, in particular our 1995 NHL Redraft Top 5. In the third and final segment, I'll be joined by Justin Hykel in our In the Pocket segment, get into Week 9 review and to Week 10 preview. Let's go. Oh yeah, and it's time for the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig, host of the game. I am joined right off the hop in full swing for our Strike Zone segment. The one, the only, the Rookie of the Year. If you know, you know. Connor Henderson, my friend. Great to see you. How's it going?
It's going great, Dave. And oh my gosh, what a World Series. 2 juggernaut teams that we're going to get to touch on here clashing. The numbers on paper seemed similar, but the results at the end of the day were quite staggered. And we'll get into it right away.
100%. World Series, summer's around the corner. But even before that, we got to give a birthday shout out. All right. We got a mutual friend, fan of the show, someone we played baseball with. Didn't win a championship. You or him didn't win a championship with me on it. Okay.
It hurts, Dave. That hurts.
The one, the only, Jordan Trudeau. All right. Happy birthday, Trudes. Connor, I'll give you the floor too, because I know you want to say a few words.
Yeah, happy birthday to Trudes. He's my guy. Local presence, huge Sioux Greyhounds fan. Huge Sioux Greyhounds fan. Go Hounds. Go Trudes. Happy birthday.
Definitely. And another shout out to friend of the show, former guest, Jordan Smith. It's also his birthday as well today. This is, as everyone knows, we are pre-recording here on the game. We're pre-recorded on November 4th and 5th, just so everybody knows, well, hey, I'm tuning this in later. This isn't his birthday. Relax. We're pre-recording. Don't harp at us too much. We want to make sure we give the shout-outs where we can, of course. And Halloween's passed. We're in November. It is, at the time of recording, rainy time. You know, snow is just around the corner. Start time to think Christmas. I can't believe I just said that. And time is absolutely flying by. We blinked and baseball playoffs were done, Connor. And if you go back to the beginning, there's some clips ago, some episodes ago, we talked about predictions. And I don't mind saying the predictions when we get there. Obviously, yours was the Tigers, Dodgers, right? And that Cinderella story. I would have loved to see it. And my pick was, I said I wasn't going to be boring and pick the Yankees and Dodgers, but I said I'll be second boring and go Guardians, Dodgers. But I did say the Dodgers were going to win. Not a surprise. I feel like I'm not the only one. There's probably a massive list that agreed to that, so it's no surprise, I think, that they won. But I think it would be fair to say as a surprise that the Yankees didn't give them a little bit more of a challenge, okay? And a big part of that, Connor, is because the absolute joke that Aaron Judge is in that World Series, okay? And Soto showed up, I feel like, but Judge, you ever see that sound bite where it goes, oh, great heavens, when it bounces off the ground? I don't know if anyone knows that sound, and he missed that pop drop in the 5th inning. That disaster of a game. There's a lot to talk about the World Series, but Connor, they didn't give the Dodgers a big enough fight. I feel like the Dodgers, they lost one game, but other than that, that series was theirs right from first pitch until the last strikeout.
Right. And I'll start with the Judge piece. That dropped fly ball in the infamous 500 run spurt there in the final game is emblematic of his entire World Series performance. People were harping on his poor play at the plate mostly before that instance, and then that sort of just summed up the entire feeling that the Yankees fandom had in regards to a player who, when push comes to shove, you've looked to all season and said he's our guy to get things done. But going back to Game 1, when Freddie Freeman and the Los Angeles Dodgers come back with that dagger of a comeback victory in the 9th inning of Game 1, that's the sort of thing that if the Yankees win that first game, we might be talking about a completely different series. The momentum of having Game 1 in your grasps and just having it ripped away by just a complete, game-breaking performance from Freddie Freeman throughout all of the World Series. That turned the tide and snowballed into just a complete lopsided Dodgers over Yankees series.
And honestly, Teo, if you're a Blue Jays fan and you saw the ceremony that was at Dodger Stadium, you see after the game with Hazel May, yeah, I'll drop that name. Hazel May, legendary figure when it comes to obviously the Blue Jays side in Canada and to sports in general. But, on the field with Teo, Kevin Kiermaier down there, and I'm not trying to incorporate the Blue Jays in this too much, but I was invested in the Dodgers win, and can't believe I'm saying this, but I did want them to win that series. Not a Yankee fan or supporter by any which way for multiple reasons. Ohtani, they did this with Ohtani pitching. Can I remind everyone of that? Ohtani didn't pitch, and that is someone who is an ace type level pitcher. And this is a team that was just power through. Teo fit in really nicely. Freeman stepped up. I love Mookie Betts. You cannot not like Mookie Betts as a baseball player. The guy can play almost everywhere. Leadership guy, right? And Ohtani being Ohtani. The story with Bueller, right? The Dodgers as a team as a whole, they were just so exciting to watch, okay? And this whole playoffs, it was great. The series against the Padres was so entertaining. The Padres put up a better fight against the Dodgers than the Yankees did, okay? And the Dodgers just showed, yes, money can buy talent. I get it. This is a team that was expected to win, but the boys stepped up when it mattered. They didn't give up. It didn't matter if they were down, obviously. Up in the game, they kept the pedal to the metal, and this is a team that was destined to win since first pitch. Okay, not just in the series, but in this whole season. And Freeman, clutch, right? All the things the Dodgers did in this whole series was that they met their expectations, and that nothing fazed them. They were down. If they got a hit, they were never rattled. They never felt like they didn't have control of the game. Yeah, they lost one game against the Yankees. One game. Okay, congratulations, New York Yankees. You won one game against them. And after that, the Dodgers just bounced back, shook it off like nothing happened. A lot of teams that are up 3-0, you don't see a lot of big 3-0 comebacks, if you're talking Yankees, Red Sox, funny enough, in a comeback. But you don't really talk about that much in baseball, right, Connor? It's the Dodgers, though. You're down 3. Now they're only up 3-1. You think, oh my, they took care of us that first game, right? Then, okay, you're down in that game 5-0. You're like, oh no, the mental starts to creep in. Any other teams that don't have that kind of like that experience, that mentality, that winner attitude, maybe they don't get out of that. All right. If you're the Blue Jays, are you getting out of that? That's the example I'm using. You're not. The 5-0 down, it felt like the Dodgers weren't done. And I remember watching and telling my wife, I was like, this game's not over. I'm telling you right now, this game is not over. In baseball, it's so unique. You could be up 10-0 going into the 8th, and it doesn't matter what you're up because anything can happen. A couple grand slams in an inning, that is possible. Okay, it's not impossible. And it didn't feel like the Dodgers were ever out of a game or out of a moment, Connor. They were there since the beginning of the series. Never mind that, the season.
Composure is a huge asset in baseball, a game in which you fail so often at the plate. Even the best people fail more often than not. Dodgers showed insane composure. And my dad likes to say that hitting is contagious. I think the same goes for errors. What we saw in that Yankees final game with the 3 miscues, first with the routine fly ball by Judge, then the shortstop trying to make a play, force at third base, dropped ball, which wasn't as bad. It's like a tougher play, to be fair. And then the complete mental miscue on the mound by not covering first base on a flip from Cole. It's hard to get mad as a pitcher when at your defense when you go and do that thing. But it's emblematic. When one guy fails, it increases the likelihood that the next guy is going to fail. Everybody's on edge. Everybody's tense. And soon that 5-run lead doesn't feel so big. And the Dodgers proved that.
And like I said, example central here, because Toronto fans have a lot of examples, but there's two examples I can pull: that Rangers and Blue Jays in that seventh inning debacle, the bat flip game. Rangers had all those errors. You thought they'd get Pompey out, they didn't get Pompey out. Then that led to the bat flip. And then you look at the Jays being up big on the Seattle Mariners, 8-1, whatever. Right, they're up in that game. Springer and Bichette run into each other, miscue. Things happen, and then your mind and things just trickle. You can just see when that's going to happen. And after Judge goes, forgets how to play a pop fly. Okay, looks like a men's league guy who hasn't played a game of baseball in his life out there. Okay, drops right in front of him, and he doesn't know. Like, unacceptable for a guy who's your captain and behind the highest paid, if not $40 million guy. He's up there in salary in the major leagues. So I don't have him up exactly, but I believe he's top 5, if I remember correctly. You can't be missing those plays. But Freddie Freeman, clutch. And Canada loves you, Freddie Freeman, I know, as we told him. But there's a guy who was deserving of the MVP. And everyone maybe predicted Ohtani was going to be that this year. No, Freddie Freeman deserved it right as the series started. And like you said, mental miscues. It seems like when it happens once in a game that is already in favor of another team and a team's trying to come back, you're like, oh, that's going to happen again. And that Cole incident, man, I grade that a lot worse than Judge. There's been a lot with Judge where he's called out for his play in the series. That obviously that pop fly, I understand. You want your big guys to step up, but this is a team game still, and there's a lot of other players that could have stepped up. Yes, Judge in particular there, but Cole not covering first. I feel like that is a complete fundamental knowledge. Judge missing a pop fly, that's an error. It's not like he didn't know to go catch the pop fly. He wasn't standing there like the guy from the bench warmers in the outfield play with a butterfly in his glove. Hope everyone likes that reference. He ran to the ball and tried to catch it and just sucked and couldn't get it. Cole's like just expected and didn't. It feels like he just shut down. He was buffering. He was that circle that you see on your computer trying to get to first, and it's like he didn't know to go there. Connor, like how did Cole not go there to first instinctively? Right?
Yeah.
How?
There's a physical Yeah, the difference between a physical miscue and then there is just a mental miscue, and it's coming off the back of his teammates' errors. Where sometimes when you're on the mound, it's a lonely place, but you don't want to make it any harder on yourself by doing those sorts of miscues. Where a rule of thumb defensively in baseball is you should move towards the ball. As a pitcher, when the ball's hit to first base, you move towards first base, all else being equal. Not counting certain cut plays or if the ball's drilled down the line, but rule of thumb, you move towards the baseball. And it's the first baseman's job to call you off and tell you, I got it, if he's running towards first base and you want to avoid a collision. But you have to make the attempt first and get called off second. You don't just assume that the guy's going to get there, because the guy could trip, the guy could fall, the guy could fumble and have to throw it. Any number of things could happen that would necessitate Cole covering first base, and he didn't. That's on him, and their shot of sustaining that lead fell with it. So pretty embarrassing, and good on the Dodgers for capitalizing on what is baseball. That's mental mistakes are killer.
And honestly, it doesn't matter how short this series was. It was still exciting. It was still good. It was still good baseball to watch, but it was all what team was better. And the ending, you just knew there was going to be a strikeout to end it. And Yankee Stadium, you can hear a pin drop besides the Dodgers fans just hollering and everyone's celebrating. It was great to see, and especially some players that we watched from the Toronto area, Teo and Kiermaier. Biggio spent time with the Dodgers this year too. It's great. It's great to see those storylines. Ohtani get his World Series. He's the best player in baseball. You want to see the best players in the world win, right? I know Soto's up there. Okay, but he's won before. I don't know if people remember that. And Judge. Yeah, no, I'm okay with Judge not winning. Sorry. That's the only one I'll pull away. But the Yankees, getting to the World Series, that should make them an attractive place to play. So again, I'll say congratulations to the Dodgers. Connor and I think deep down, Connor, you may have not picked the Dodgers, but I think you knew. Okay, I know you knew deep down. But this segues me into my next point before we let you go, Connor. The summer is Well, not around the corner by any means. But next baseball season, not too far away. But we're getting into the winter. So when it comes to winter, obviously other sports are in full swing. But for baseball, it is free agency time. You're wondering where players are going. Last year was a terrific offseason because of the storyline between, Soto and Ohtani, right? And we sat here on this podcast, me mostly, predicting where both those guys would go. And I had one lofty dream one that didn't work out. And ultimately, Soto, despite where people wanted him to go, he went where expected. Okay, he went to the evil empire in New York. Okay, and this offseason, New York has a few things to address, right? And Aaron Boone is coming back as the manager. You got to figure out what you're doing with Cole. But while you and I are talking right now, the Yankees have given Soto a qualifying offer, 1 year, $21.4 million. And I'm sitting here looking at those comments. Oh, my God. And they're right. A lot of comments. I'm like, wow, some people just don't know what they're talking about. People may say that about me. It's fine. But that's an insult. Soto is not worth $21 million. The guy is worth a lot more than that. Okay. The guy is going to be getting upwards to the Aaron Judge, if not higher. If not higher. He might hit the 12-year, that might be a little high, but $500 million. He's going to be hitting some big bucks. Cha-ching. Okay. I know the Yankees just trying to get that I get the qualifying offer rules. I understand, but they're not going to get him for that. And you would think, though, Connor, this is a team that's a World Series, 3 wins away from World Series, but they're in the World Series. Why would it be such a challenge for them to get – everyone's saying that Soto's on his way out, Cole might leave. I don't think so. There's no way, right? You would think this is a team who was that close to a World Series that they would be able to retain some of these guys. And let's not forget, they got the money and the legacy.
Yeah, and if you're those guys, you're thinking the same thing. I mean, the problem sometimes teams run into, even the big market ones, are there's only so much pie to go around. And when you have a bunch of superstars, everybody's hungry. But the reality is, if anybody can pay these guys, it is the Yankees. And, if you want to have that core have as many stabs at the playoffs as you can while Judge is in his prime, then that's what you have to do. You have to build and support and sustain. So, would I expect 21 million to be the number at the end of the day? No. But they play by the rules and then go from there. A lot of players now are signing these massive deals early on in their contract windows, where you didn't used to see that from younger baseball players. Everybody used to have to wait until they were past their basically unrestricted free agency. But in baseball, they make you go through hell to get there. Now teams are starting to lock in players earlier and for longer. And the cost benefit is we secure them long term, and then the player gets their secured money. Hopefully at the end of the day, both sides win. But unlike other sports where free agency frenzy, you see in NHL or the NBA, baseball free agency is a slow burn, and not all the news will break on day one. So get comfortable. We probably won't hear anything major for the time being.
No, and if I had to give predictions, because you got Pete Alonso available, Willie Adames, you got Corbin Burns, you got Max Fried who's available. I'm very intrigued with Max Fried. I feel like that's an underrated grab, and people may not agree. I feel like he's going under the radar a little bit because of the highlight of players, and I know the biggest rumor for Soto is going to the Mets. Right, the rumor train is happening. The rumors, the experts, the people are predicting, and I like giving predictions. So I will give a prediction on a couple of the lads. Okay, Connor. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay, we're gonna three people,
oh no,
and we're gonna predict where we think they're gonna go. Okay?
Oh God.
We'll start with the one we were just talking about, Juan Soto. I know everyone's saying the Mets, but I think he's going to stay with the Yankees and get paid with the New York Yankees. Connor.
I'm with you, Dave. I think he stays put. Why wouldn't you? If you're him, you can get the bag and have another chance to win a division series and take another stab at the playoffs. Maybe next time you'll get to bat against Ohtani, and if he get some revenge on him.
100%. Now, the next one I'll go to is Pete Alonso. So I'm going to be boring with Pete Alonso. I'm going to say he's staying with the Mets. I don't think he leaves. I feel like he's got his roots there. The Mets are going to be very active this year because they're going to swing and miss on Soto. And I feel like they're going to try to do what they can to solidify that lineup and keep spending money. They're not afraid to do that. So I'm going to be boring and say again, Pete Alonso, there's a guy who's staying with in New York in the Big Apple.
That's fair. And, I won't make a comment on where he's going to go, but I will say that the Mets are positioned to reload, which is nice. They've made some moves now to kind of free up their books. They tried the whole Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander reunion tour. It didn't work, sadly. I think they're ready to reload, and Alonso's a good guy to do that with.
The last one that I'll say is a very interesting one. Anthony Santander, the Baltimore Orioles slugger. I feel like this is someone who's going to be getting a lot of offers from a lot of different teams, and it's going to be a very surprising one. But if I'm going to go with Anthony Santander, something tells me, okay, that he is going to be the one going to the Mets as well. I feel like I see Santander going to the Mets and being a part of that Alonso Santander type rotation. So I'm just talking New York in this prediction tree right now, Connor. But some slugging. I feel like if the Mets are going to swing and miss on one guy, they're going to look somewhere else. And Santander is a pretty good second prize if you can't get Soto.
Yeah, and he's got a sweet swing, power bat, can crank it. I think he hit somewhere like over 40 home runs this year, 40, 45 home runs. Yeah, any team would want that guy in the meat of their order, pounding the ball. The Baltimore Orioles certainly enjoyed having him in the core of that lineup. And then as a 30-year-old guy who, was on such a young team, it's great to have your younger guys surrounded by those people who can just go up and mash.
100%. Other names that are available: Alex Bregman, Willie Adames, Tyler O'Neill, Canadian, Gleyber Torres. I'm going to give you a spoiler. He's leaving. He's not going back to New York for a lot of reasons. If you know, you know. And Teoscar Hernandez, Christian Walker. I'm very interested in Teoscar Hernandez, where he's going to go. I feel like staying in the Dodgers is where he should stay. I feel like they have the money, and I feel like they're going to re-sign him. But if he doesn't re-sign with the Dodgers, I'll tell you where he's going. He's coming back home to the Toronto Blue Jays. That's where Teoscar Hernandez is going. I can't go out without saying that, of course, and it's going to be very interesting. Alex Bregman seems like Seattle wants to spend this year. I think you're going to see a lot of splashes and a lot of money thrown around. But my interest is look more at the pitchers this offseason. Corbin Burns, Max Fried. I like what's out there a little bit. If you're looking to beef up your rotation, add there. I feel like there's a lot of potential to do it. But, of course, it's highlighted by the one and the only Juan Soto, of course, who is going to be getting the bag. I will say north of 500 mil. Going to say it right now. A 12-year, 500 plus. That's what I see this contract being. If you're going to sign that contract too, you got to be prepared. This is your last contract that you're probably signing. So is this the team that you want to stay with? That's the other thing these players are going to be thinking of, right? And what teams are always looking to be successful? It's the ones who have the money. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, well, sort of. There's a lot of teams that have money, and I think that's what's going to be attractive to bringing in a big ticket. And if I'm somebody, let me get excited, Connor. Look at Detroit. If I'm a free agent, I am looking at the Tigers and going, they don't have to pay those young guys for a bit. I can take that team right to the bank. And you know what? My favorite plan would be this year. I would love to see Soto don the Detroit Tigers jersey next year. I want to put that into fruition. If I'm Soto, I'm looking at that team saying, holy shit. This is a young team. They're looking for that going as I have spaces, business cards while I'm talking. If anyone's wondering what I'm doing, I'm talking with my hands and moving things around. Juan Soto to the Tigers, not predicting it. Let's just put it out in the universe, Connor. And let's pretend that it is going to happen. How excited would you be?
Oh, Dave, let's manifest it together, okay? We need some love. The one fear in Tigers Nation right now is that they did so good with such a bad payroll that now ownership will not want to spend anything knowing that they can do it again. They can't do it again. It was a fluke. Okay, please pay somebody something.
Sign
somebody. Oh, Dave, before we go also, how do you think Mike Trout feels seeing Shohei Ohtani win a World Series in his first season out of Los Angeles Angels?
Look, Mike Trout could have been one of the best players of all time. And I feel like he still has that talent. He's still all around, Connor. I love Mike Trout. How does he feel? He's sad because he's a Corvette in a shack. That's what he is right now. He is a Corvette's a bad example. He is an Aston Martin in a shack, is what he is. He is in a beat up shack that has been eaten by rats, by poison. I don't know, whatever eats up the wood. Okay, whatever eats up the wood in your shack when you don't take care of the foundation, whatever the heck that is. That's what's inside it. You open it, you think, oh, there's nothing in here, and there's an Aston Martin, James Bond edition Aston Martin. That is Mike Trout, and Mike Trout needs to get out of there. He needs to get out of that shed, and he needs to go into a mansion. He needs to get treated like royalty. Wherever that is, whoever strikes out on Soto, maybe you got to start talking trade for Mike Trout. You know, maybe he's a New Jersey boy. Maybe he goes to New York. Maybe he goes to a New York team. Maybe he goes and joins Shohei Ohtani if Teoscar leaves. Why not? Why not? They have the money, and they're going to spend the money. They don't really have the money, but they're going to spend it somehow. Mike Trout, free Mike Trout. Hashtag free Mike Trout. The Angels are trash. They're a shack, and he's the Aston Martin, Connor. Is that a good answer for you?
I love it. Let's get him out of that toxic relationship, shall we?
Toxic. Britney Spears. I'm just kidding. I'm not referencing Britney Spears on the show. Not going there. Connor, my friend, a little bit extra, but it's fun. We had a lot to talk about. When we get you back on, we're going to get you on throughout the offseason as you said, slow burn of the baseball season that is now the off season. So we get to wait and see what happens, who signs where, and as breaking news occurs from the local, regional, national perspective, we'll have you on. But of course, you know, this year with the strike zone, we kept it. We had episodes, routine episodes, and next year it's going to be a new rotation as well. But I think this is a great year of baseball, Connor. We had a lot to talk about all season.
I think this was our best year yet, Dave, and I can't wait for next year.
100%. Now, when we get you back on, hopefully some signings have happened and we can break them up. And why not some scandals? Why not some scandals?
Always.
And
holiday episodes and scandals, Dave. That's all we do.
And the Pete Rose clip, by the way, people love that. People like that clip. And I got to say right now, the guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but not yet. I had someone say that he's going to be put in there because he passed away. I hope not. That makes me so upset. Wait 2 more years now. He waited till he died. God, sorry. That's so bad. I don't even know why I went there. But say scandals, holidays, off-season signings. That's when we'll see you, Connor. Maybe we'll have to make sure we do a Christmas edition. We'll put our hats on, and we'll see. Maybe Mike Trout will be free by then. Hashtag free Trout. Connor, thanks again. It's been great this year, and we'll see you soon here, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Take care.
100%. And great Halloween costume again, by the way. That's Connor Henderson. Of course, for this has been our Strike Zone segment. This will be the last segment, of Strike Zone until we have some breaking news throughout the summer. But until next year, when we have Strike Zone come back. When we come back, we got more sports to talk about here on the game. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig continuing to host you this evening. Thank you again to Connor Henderson. It's great to open up the show with some Strike Zone, and that's our last Strike Zone again. I got to remind you of the season until next year, of course. Now, without further ado, we're going to be doing our Top Shelf segment. What that is as well, pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know, it is hockey. And of course, I got my trusty colleague, the one, the only, with the Legos in the background and a book that I can't see. I don't know what the title is of that book, but nonetheless, it is Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons. Okay. And the Game Sports Podcast likes to teach you lessons on here about what great content is. Great jokes aside, the one, the only Alex Parr, my friend. How's it going?
It's going well. I just hope people believe that I actually know how to read and didn't buy these books for the pictures.
Oh, you actually do like reading. You actually.
Nah, well, I've been reading this book.
Not Sunday. See, a hockey book. Those type of books is what I'm down for.
Look at that. Autographed.
Love that. Favorite Leaf of all time.
Me too.
And I did a watch change, as people want to know. They probably call it. I was wearing different last time. I'm now wearing the Raptors 30th anniversary. So my mother actually went to the game and grabbed me a shirt. She went to opening night there for the Toronto Raptors. Of course, recently hanging up the jersey. It should have been up there a long time ago. The one, the only Vince Carter. What a great time. That was great to see. And I love the respect that Toronto gave him there. He well deserved. He's who put, in my opinion, the Raptors on the map. Okay. That on the map. I mean, of course, Kawhi, Kyle Lowry might have something to say about that. Winning a championship in 2019 might have something to say about that too. But where it all started there at the beginning of time for if you're a Raptor fan and you were a kid and you had that Vince Carter black purple jersey, or everything was Vinsanity when you were younger. When he did that, when he got it's over on the dunk competition. Love to see it. So I wanted to make sure I wear for these next two segments a little bit of love towards the Toronto Raptors. Alex, we got hockey we're talking about though, and we're going right into chatting about hockey. Alex Ovechkin. The dude is knocking on the door. It's not just knocking on the door now. I think he's got his foot in the door. Okay, the door it's open now. Okay, it's unlocked. It's starting to squeak open. And there is a gray-haired fellow, and it's not Wayne Gretzky I'm talking about. Ovechkin does have gray hair, and I don't mean to chirp him because I'm joining the club. And his head is about to creep through like the "here's Johnny" type thing. Ovechkin is so close to both tying and beating Wayne Gretzky's goal record. Parr, does it happen this year, or does it happen next year? I think it's going to happen, barring that Alex Ovechkin gets absolutely injured in a way that would be very unfortunate to see. Okay, the guy is not going to retire from the NHL until he breaks that record. Let's be honest, and he's very, very close. And barring any injuries, this guy is going to break Gretzky's record.
He's sitting at 860 goals. He has 7 goals and 14 points in 11 games. Only 34 goals away, and he won't do it this season. He's going to cool down. The Washington Capitals are overachieving at the beginning of the season. It's not going to happen. Their goaltending has been complete dog crap, and you can only outrun that problem for so long. Both of their goalies don't have a 900 save percentage. Neither one of them. They're both terrible. Lindgren's getting lit up like a Christmas tree, and it's the beginning of November. And you know how much I hate people who celebrate Christmas early. Alex Ovechkin's not going to do it, but he will do it at some point in his career, like you had said.
Yeah, so I like the hot take of this year. If he goes on pace of what he's doing, it is going to be this year. But I like that you said that. I'm going to have to stick with you and say that I think it's going to be a next year accomplishment. It's not going to be a this year accomplishment. I do like the take on Washington cooling down and overachieving. I think that is a very good point. This was a team that was, going into the season, people thought they made the changes necessary to compete. They're a team that I don't think is in that upper area of the East and will not be successful going forward in the season. You can add us all you want. Just like I know people really went back on our old clips on TikTok from a year ago, Parr. I'm going to bring that up in a minute. That up in just a minute. But to stay on the Ovechkin point,
Did we get roasted for a really bad take?
No, not roasted, but something got revived through the For You searched, I think, in TikTok.
Oh, okay.
But
interesting.
Nonetheless, Ovechkin will pass Gretzky, in my opinion. But I don't want that, Parr.
What?
I don't want him to. I'm a Gretzky fan. I got the Gretzky corner in the 91 Network office. I wanted a Gretzky to hold all the records forever. I wanted to die knowing that the great one Gretzky had the records till the day that I died. And he's a Canadian boy, and I don't mean to chirp other nationalities. I'm not meaning to do that whatsoever. Of course, Ovechkin is Russian, okay, and arguably the best goal scorer that we've ever seen in the game of hockey. Obviously, he's proving that right now. But I wish Gretzky's record wouldn't have been broken. I know records, they're made to be broken. I get it. It's a good storyline. His points record will never be touched. I want people to know that. Never. No one will ever touch that. I will say that. Goals, it was more attainable. And I wish that Gretzky just kept every single record, Parr. I'm selfish when it comes to hockey. The great one, Wayne Gretzky. Look at that last name. It just fits for him to be the great one. But Ovechkin's going to pass him.
That's insane that you don't want to see these records broken. It's exciting. It's cool that this is a narrative we get to track. I'm sure a lot of people for a long time did not think anybody was going to beat his goal scoring record. So the fact that we're even able to sit here and debate if it's going to happen this season or next season, that's really cool and a fun storyline and something that can maybe transcend the sport a little bit, something that can get a football fan or an NBA fan interested in the NHL. The NHL,
Take.
wow,
Different take you took there.
they're
Different
farther behind these other three top leagues in North America. We need more eyes on the product. We need the sport to keep growing, and things like this are going to do it.
Alex Ovechkin, when will he do it? Comment below. This year, next year, or a couple years from now? Or will he do it? Do you think there's still a reason in this world that he won't do it? And if you think that, I want to know your rationale, because if you're saying he's going to get hurt, don't wish injury on someone, people. Please. Despite who you want to have it or not, Ovechkin, okay? Ovechkin, grade 8 is, and I hope he doesn't do it against Toronto, Parr, but something tells me that it's going to happen against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I just got my beliefs for that. Now I'm going to bring up that TikTok that I was telling you about. So obviously, and I don't want to dive into this too much because it's a sensitive topic of sorts. It is. Last year, about a year ago, I did a take on TikTok about Jennifer Botterill and Jamal Mayers. Jennifer Botterill was getting heckled for comments that she made and people saying how she shouldn't be on the panel, that she isn't strong, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and obviously bringing up the gender of what she is in comparison to talk about a male sport. That's what it was. And my take, of course, is I'm against that. I know a lot of men, women, all knowledgeable in hockey, and there's obviously it's modern society. It isn't the 40s. Okay. I know we're speaking this pre-recordings on the presidential election day. Okay. So I better keep that comment to myself. But besides that, I brought up a discussion saying how Jennifer Botterill, when has it ever become that someone can't speak their mind or opinion? And of course, that take, there was, I'll be transparent. I believe that it's had about 1,500 views on that, or something like that, on our TikTok page. And Jennifer Botterill this past weekend had obviously opinions when it came to the Slavkovsky and the Jackeye and the Pittsburgh-Montreal game. Okay, and it led to discussion. And friend of the show, Luke Gazdick, is on that panel. And I was minutes from messaging him about the feedback I started seeing about Jennifer Botterill, saying that I wish we can back up these individuals, like back up Jennifer and back up the crew. And I know Luke Gazdick is very high spoken of who Jennifer Botterill is, and everyone on that panel, Kelly Rudy, another friend of the show, that they talk very highly about Jennifer Botterill. And going back to my clip, I spoke highly about Jennifer. So knowledgeable, and her accolades are ridiculous, and her intelligence in school and hockey is ridiculous. And I backed up how her opinion is, in my opinion, I think it's a great opinion. And I know some people may like that, may not like hearing that, but if you don't like it, I don't understand. If you don't think she knows what she's talking about, I need to know why you don't think to know what she's talking about, because it's a man talk, or a woman talk about a man's game. Are you nuts? Let's get with society. I don't want to get too emotional about it anymore. You can listen to that clip, because Parr, since then, we've now hit the 10K viewer since Saturday. Someone must have searched the Jennifer Botterill.
Are you getting torched right now?
I don't know about torch, but there's some people saying that this podcast sucks. There's one person that said that. There's one person that said, I know who wears the pants in his house. Yikes. There's another one saying that there's good comments. People like, yes, people loved it. Some people didn't. Definitely mixed. And that's the world of social media. Okay, you can look at Jason Kelce and that incident with Jason Kelce. He held his composure for a little bit, but then he just snapped, right? Different things. But social media, things get blown out of proportion. And of course, I'm not reading into the comment section. I'm just saying that the Jennifer Botterill situation, it still continues from when I talked about last year, from before. And she is entitled to her opinion. And she's on that panel for a reason, because she knows what she is talking about. And that if you're not a fan, that is your call. It doesn't really matter. That is who you are listening to, and she's going to be there. But again, Parr, that is when I'm bringing up the TikTok went skyrocket. I woke up in the morning and I'm seeing these TikToks. I'm like, oh, I looked at my wife, because obviously, did we upload something on there? What happened? And I look, and I'm just getting all these comments from variations: positive, neutral, bad towards the show, bad towards her. And as I said, people are entitled to their opinion, Parr, but what was discussed on Saturday seemed to revive that post, but revive the conversation about, about that topic. And that's why
it's insane that no matter what the topic is, we're in this social climate now where if you disagree with somebody, it's not good enough to just leave it at a disagreement. You have to prove that your opinion is right to somebody. Like Jennifer Botterill's like comments. I mean, I didn't necessarily agree with them, but it was like in one ear and out the other. Like it's just like, oh yeah, that is a different perspective and point of view on a matter that I have a different one of. That's it. Most of all, most importantly, that Hockey Night in Canada panel is designed to fail. It is terrible. I'm tired of seeing the back of two people's heads. I'm tired of the format. Get Ron MacLean out of there. Time for him to go. Look at the TNT panel that they do for hockey. Look at the one they did, at least, for the NBA. Look at the Pat McAfee show. Media is changing, and Canada is so slow to get on that train. So even if she had opinions that people agreed on 100% of the time, the format stinks. It sucks. I hate it. Intermissions during Hockey Night in Canada should be unmissable TV. And they have this platform with a huge viewership, and they just piss it away. It just stinks, and it sucks, and they don't do anything to change it. Hockey Night in Canada, I should be so excited for all aspects of it. Intermission, I'm doing something else. I'm changing the channel. I'm doing something else. It stinks.
The big thing is, and of course, neutral friends of the show, Luke, Kelly, and also through one of our co-hosts, Kevin Bieksa, is also a friend through one of our co-hosts on the show. And I'll say that the talent that they have on that show is there. The knowledge, the hockey IQ is there from Kevin, Kelly, Jen, to Luke, to Elliot Friedman. I've always been a fan of Friedman. I remember listening and watching Friedman when I was young, and he was on The Score. If anyone remembers that, or saw The Score, so Headline Sports. The Score is still a thing. My apologies. It was called Headline Sports, is what something was called. Look it up. Don't believe me. There's obviously the knowledge on the Sportsnet panel, even the TSN panel. We've had friends. I am name dropping again, but James Duthie, we've had guys that are involved with the show that have been on this show, and we've heard their expert opinions, and we love hearing them on the TV. I love TSN's hockey panel, how it is. I think they do a great job when they have it. But Hockey Night in Canada, there is certainly room for improvement. And I know I didn't mention Ron MacLean in my discussion here a little bit. But obviously, I grew up with listening to Ron MacLean and Don Cherry, as did yourself, right? There was I did see that, but there is opportunity to change this format. I think Bieksa, Gazdic, Kelly, the guys that they have, and Jen included in that, and David Amber, you have the people that can get the job done. I think a revamp is appropriate point.
Yeah, and I don't want Ron MacLean getting kicked out entirely. I just don't think the host of the intermission show is it for him anymore. I don't care about what Jordan Shoelaces Montgomery did in the 50s or how he's from Manitowoc. I don't care about old Canadian band. Media is so much different than it was before. I still think he has a place in broadcasting. I know so many people are just out for him. Get this guy out of the country. Get this guy off my TV. That's too far. I just think that role, I don't think the format does anything good for any of them. I feel like that's probably what I would like my blanket statement to be, is that this format that they have right now does not work and does not benefit or complement any of them in a way. Like you say, they're all great. They're all fantastic, but they got to rework it in a way that doesn't make me yawn, change the channel, and find literally anything else to do during intermission.
100%. And it's Sportsnet, and arguably it's Sportsnet TSN, right? Those are, I'm just speaking Ontario, but I think it's elsewhere around. Those are the two you're tuning into. And Hockey Night in Canada, keyword Canada, that's coast to coast, they're tuning into that. And we're in a different generation, as you said. And who has adapted? ESPN.
Amazon.
So
good.
We're tight for time. But I want to save Amazon. I want to save some of the blind ranking and save some things. But before we go into the next point, I'll just ask you in one word. Amazon broadcasts. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Well, that's not one word, but thumbs up. My one word would be fantastic.
Okay, there we go. So thumbs up, fantastic. We're going to table that for when Brandon joins us, as we definitely dove into only two topics, but that's good. I think it was very good to have that discussion. As we go into tonight, we're recording November the 5th. The Leafs are going into Boston. Not going to talk about that. Obviously, Matthews is going into Toronto. I believe they're actually in Toronto tonight. They're not in Boston. Sorry, let me correct myself. And they're doing it without Austin Matthews. We'll see how the injury bug is going around the NHL, because Connor McDavid skated for the first time since his injury. Pastrnak getting benched, and he's playing Toronto after the night of his benching. So we'll see how that goes. The reason why I'm bringing that up on a show that won't be able to be interacted about is that, well, the NHL has had some good storylines, and we're not going to be able to get into them tonight. But obviously the injury bug is starting to hit around the NHL a little bit. Some of the key star players, McDavid and Matthews being those two. We'll see how that turns out for the both of them. But until we get Brandon and you back and we get into those games again, we'll talk about other things. One more topic that I wanted to not bring up, but that I want to bring up when we have our discussion. I want to talk about signs again at the rink, Parr. Okay. I have to bring up that topic again. That's one that I want to be passionate about. But again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because we have time constraints here tonight. So one thing we are going to do is our redraft, Parr.
Okay.
We will not have time to talk about the Sioux Greyhounds if you're looking for anything for local, but we will be incorporating some local sports through our, of course, new partner, Today in Spaces, as I pull up the sticker that looks really lame in the video. But nonetheless, it is a partnership that we're going to be joining within the next few weeks. So we'll plan to have some more local tie-in for those looking into that local tie-in from the Sioux area. NHL redraft. Parr and I redraft the top 5 of the draft that we are discussing. If you're new to the show, just give you a reminder. We've done every draft now up until doing this one, 1995. Our most recent one was 1994. So Parr and I are going to draft the top 5 in any order that we want, knowing what we know today. And Parr, I'm going to let you go first.
Perfect. I'm spinning this in a way that we don't normally spin it. We have 3 former guests of this show in this draft, at least that I saw. I might have missed some more. Number 5, Nathan Parrott. Number 4, Brent Sopel. And number 3, Terry Ryan, all in this draft. Honorable mentions to Jaguar, Savard, and Kiprusoff, but then number 2 is going to be Shane Doan. And I think number 1, one of the most complete players that has ever laced them up, Jarome Iginla.
I am so happy you did the Terry Ryan, Sopel, and Parrots twist there, of course. They'll love that too when they see it, and I send it over to them on this clip. But I'll stick to the original format, okay? I got to do it. And I think we got to make a Game Sports podcast team on Chell, okay?
Yes, I have thought about that too.
But anyways, back to my draft. My draft picks. 1995, going for 5-1. The Tempe Lightning are proud to select Mark Savard. 4th overall pick, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks are proud to select Wade Redden. The 3rd overall pick, the Los Angeles Kings are proud to select Shane Doan. Imagine that. The 2nd overall pick, the New York Islanders are proud to select, get jiggy with it, J.S. Jaguar. And with the 1st overall pick, come on, the Ottawa Senators drafting the one, the only, the one who got the helper on Sidney Crosby's golden goal, Jarome Iginla. Okay, imagine him in Ottawa. Okay, like, whoa. Like, I can't wait till we revamp these. I want to see the rosters that we made up after all these drafts and see where these players would have ended up. That would have been unbelievable. And if you're asking why Savard 5, because he had less points, if he didn't have concussion, the guy was he had 700 points in 800 games. This guy had a healthy career. He's hitting 1,000 games, no problem. He is one of the smartest hockey players and playmakers that I have seen when I was younger. He was such a genius on the ice. But that is all the time we have here, Parr. We talked baseball first segment, hockey this segment. We got football in the next segment, okay? And it's been a pleasure talking hockey with you. And Connor had more time than you did today, Parr.
Whoa. Well, I mean, it was the World Series, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Freddie Freeman.
Yes. Canadians love Freddie Freeman as well. Parr, it has been a treat, my friend. Until next week, where we get to talk a little bit more hockey. Until our debut on Spaces 2, we'll be diving into even more hockey points at that point. But nonetheless, I want to say thank you for taking the time, as always, tonight.
Of course, Dave. Nowhere else I'd rather be.
Awesome. Unless you're making Legos. You'd love to do that.
Actually, I'm not going to lie. That's what's waiting in the living room right now.
That is terrific. When we come back, I expect Justin Hykel to be joining me to wrap up our 3rd and final segment of tonight's episode with our In the Pocket segment. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig continuing to host you on this episode of the game. I am joined for our In the Pocket segment by the one, the only, I say that about everyone, I feel like, Justin Hykel, my friend, original since day one with the game. Justin Hykel, how you doing, my friend?
It's tough to preface it with the one, the only, but I say it for everyone. You're supposed to. You said the quiet part loud. You're supposed to keep that. You're supposed to keep that one in here, like most of my thoughts.
Yeah,
my thoughts. No, it's going good. Interesting week of football we just had. Interesting week of football we're going into. We're kind of into the nitty gritty now.
We are.
Race is starting to sort itself out. It's going to be interesting. I mean, there's like, if you look at the bottom half of the standings right now, just can maybe steal the thunder a little bit right now. There's like, I don't want to say 10 teams, but like more than 6 teams that are like 2 wins only.
Yep. And you know what? This year, I feel like there's been a lot of surprises too when it comes to the standings in the NFL. And I think it's fair to say, not a biased opinion, but I think the Steelers are a surprise team. People didn't think they'd be doing as good as they are. And I'm one of them. I thought 500, maybe a playoff team, but they're looking like a team that could win the division, which is awesome, right? And if you're thinking
with Derrick Henry there,
that good point. Henry is a boss. And how about the Commanders? Maybe there wasn't enough love for the Commanders this year that should have been. Obviously, there was a lot of love for the Lions, but there wasn't a lot of love for the Vikings, I feel like. But that NFC North is just packed right now. And I think it's fair to say that the Saints being just as bad as the Panthers, I didn't have that down. I didn't think the Saints were that not competitive. I didn't want to use the word bad, but there's a lot of surprise storylines this year overall in the NFL. But in the pocket, before I get to your point, Justin, in the pocket is, of course, sponsored by Sports Center Bar and Grill, so Ontario's best sports bar, original home of the Game Sports Show at the time. Now Game Sports Podcast has been a part of the family since 2016. Yes, they have. Every season, every year. And of course, this being our 8th season of In the Pocket, one of the original segments of the show. Now, it is myself and Justin for this one. EJ, we hope, is back next week. And if you've listened to each segment of the show, it obviously is pre-recorded because, we obviously talked with Connor and Alex at different times. Obviously, the election was happening before and then it happened after already in the States. So we're not getting into that story, but obviously we do a pre-recording. And at the night of this recording, Hykel and I are just getting set for the day before Thursday night football.
I wonder who wins.
No. The Simpsons. That aside, Justin, we're not going to get into college football like we did last week, but I will say one thing. I didn't end up going to the Big House in Michigan. I was very close to go watch Oregon and Michigan last weekend. I was really thinking about it, but we ended up not doing it. I really wanted to, but didn't. Okay. But college football, still great. I think it was a great weekend of football overall. Sports in general have been so exciting to just watch. And the NFL this week, the trade deadline has obviously passed. You got the standings are starting to take full shape. You're starting to see some separation, unless you're in the NFC North, which I mentioned, which you're not seeing any separation, or heck, dare I say the NFC West, there's not too much separation either, right? But if you look at other teams, and I think the AFC has a little bit more of teams that are on the upper end, but the Chiefs obviously leading the way when it comes to the AFC being undefeated this year, but had a very tight game against the Bucks last week, which was a very good Monday night game, in my honest opinion. But a lot of 2-win teams, Justin, you mentioned that. The Raiders, the Browns, the Panthers, the Saints, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Giants, to name another one. And I think I named every single one of them. And I feel like that is a lot to say. And there's some 3-win teams like the Jets. And if you want to, that's actually, I think, the only 3-win team, if I looked correctly. But a lot of 2-win teams this year, but a lot of surprises in the NFL. And I think, Justin, I know we're just going into week 10 and there's still a good amount of football left because of being just at the halfway point. Anything can happen, especially in some of those divisions where it is tight. But some teams have started to separate themselves, and the deadline helped a lot of teams. I think the Lions acquiring Zadarius Smith was a very good move for the Lions. Mike Williams from the Jets to Steelers had some receiver depth on the offense for the Steelers to give Wilson or Fields, whoever, an option. Obviously, Lattimore getting moved as well was a very good move. But I'm going to give your reaction.
That one's been like rumbling for
a while. What are your thoughts on winners and losers of the deadline?
I mean, I think the Lions were obviously, that was probably like a worst kept secret that they were going to make a move, adding to Darius Smith. He was pretty vocal on the old Twitterverse there first thing in the morning. Sounded like maybe the deal wasn't going to get done, and then tweets deleted, and he's on the Lions. So here we are. I guess that worked out. A lot of wide receivers get moved there this year, though.
Yeah.
It's and I guess I think I say this every year. It's fascinating how the NFL trade deadline works versus the NHL trade deadline. Like the NHL trade deadline, you've got to give your 3 firstborn children and 10 draft picks to get a scrub. And then in the NFL, it's like, listen, you couldn't make them work. You basically have to pay us to take them.
5th round.
Give us a wide receiver and a second pick, and you can have a 5th rounder for squandering his talent. Like, it's fascinating. Like, and a lot of unhappy wide receivers too this year. Like everybody's just like, yeah, I don't want to be here. All right, you get a trade. You get a trade. You get a trade.
Yeah.
But really, like the D-Hop one, I think is probably going to be the one we're going to be talking about for this year, maybe next year. He seems pretty happy there. I mean, honestly, it's the first time he's had a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that one I think is going to be. Everyone that didn't want to see the Chiefs run deep in the playoffs is going, oh.
It's happening. I'm sorry. It's happening.
At least he's wearing a red jersey and not the zebra stripes. So
honestly, I got to say that Hopkins trade, great move for Kansas City on a team that has a lot of weapons as it is already. They're going for it. Obviously, they're and you have Mahomes. I feel like you're going to be going for it every year. To have a chance to three-peat is going to be something we haven't seen, and they have a very high chance to do it. But
on Monday night, Kelsey had something like 14 catches. Like that's kind of
career high.
Kind of nuts. It's crazy when you have a target you have 2 targets on offense and not just one. Like,
and everything with his brother this week. Okay, which. Again, we won't dive into some slander towards either or. We're not gonna dive.
I agree, and this kind of goes back to our earlier, pre-show conversation where we're just old now. I agree with a lot of people on the internet and saying there's kids these days haven't had to get punched in the face enough for just saying stupid shit. Like, on what planet do you get into a professional Hall of Fame, like all-star offensive lineman's face and start slandering his family? Like,
who are you?
If he's lucky, he just got his phone smashed.
It should have been Hulk smash elsewhere.
And honestly, if there wasn't cameras everywhere, you could just deny. Yeah, did you powerbomb that kid in the park?
No, I didn't powerbomb. It wasn't me powerbombing. He must have powerbombed himself.
Sunday college game day. Everyone's wasted. I don't know. He fell down.
Buddy's calling him Travis. Got the wrong guy. Not Travis. It's Jason. And literally, when he picked up the phone or picked up whatever off the ground, he tried to bump him. This is a 6'2", 280-ish, I think, give or take, pound man.
Athletic man.
Who has held back big D lineman, okay, for X amount of years, over a decade, and he's done it successfully. Okay,
couldn't kick the ball though on college game day in the morning.
No, he didn't do good. That's not his thing. But that kid could have been just rinsed. Okay, and he wouldn't have even known what happened.
He should have been, but he's a professional.
And of course, Jason's the one that gets the backlash for it because of his reaction. And yeah, he slipped at the end. We know what happened. What he reacted with after. And yeah, there's a time where you think, but give him credit for not doing what he could have, should have, would have done. Whatever.
It could have been a million times worse.
Yeah.
If that was a defensive tackle, like there's just certain player positions that wouldn't have handled that the same. It doesn't.
Or that's somebody else, just a random guy who you think looks like Jason Kelce but is built like Jason Kelce on the street. Your head's getting kicked in. Period. It's not anyone with all the cojones that they think they have walking around with a phone and videotaping it. It is ballsy, man. It is unreal how this society is. And you know what? I don't want to get too off topic, but I'm going to say a story that we talked about in the previous segment with Parr. I did an upload a year ago or so, and yes, I'm bringing this up. I can hear EJ in the background of my head, but I did a video about Jennifer Botterill, okay, about a year ago on TikTok when there was issues between Jamal, not issues, but there was comments that people didn't like when she had not a debate, but they're having a conversation with Jamal Mayers. And I won't get into the meat and potatoes of that, but I uploaded that a year ago, and there was just under 1,000 views on it. I don't mind being open about TikTok stuff. There's about 1,000 views on that TikTok. I woke up Sunday morning. From Sunday to today, which is now Wednesday, when we had Parr on this show last segment, which was Tuesday. So we did our recordings Tuesday and Wednesday for our show upload Thursday this week. It is now at 12.1 thousand, okay, views. That TikTok has exploded. And there's people on there with ballsy remarks about women. Even some saying this podcast sucks with some 12 likes on it. I don't care. Love it. You're the one interacting and causing the algorithm to work and get filter on people's page.
Yeah,
So
I mean, really, if you're, that's
like, and look,
thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in. And I don't think you've interviewed 1/3 of people I have. I get whatever. Not here to chirp. But the thing is, people get so ballsy holding up a phone and talking behind a phone, dude. It's so different. It's so different.
I don't understand this day and age of internet clout. Like, I got the most likes on it. Who the fuck cares? I have a job. Like,
yeah. I have a full-time job. I have a house. I got a wife, a dog. I feel like
the world's a strange place, and maybe I spent too much time in the garage and missed out on the whole "I got to be cool on the internet" thing. But
nah, it's
maybe just respect people.
And that's the thing. And you know what? We're not talking about the election. My God.
No, we're not. Like, we're not even going there. It's just like common courtesy. Like, just if you see an athlete out in anywhere, like, why can't you just give him a head nod? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, if I saw Jason, I'd be like, cool, man. Like, I'd like to meet a guy like that. Someone who's actually, he worked hard to be a good NFL player. He helped Travis when he was in shambles in college, right? And look at everything that he worked on Travis and gave him that chance. Look what Travis turned into, and look who he is now. Dating the most iconic female in the world. The most, in my honest opinion. They're definitely one of the richest now. But obviously, at the end of the day, as much as you want to talk and you say how much you dislike how she's involved, you can have you have your right to your own opinions. But to go up in someone's face, say names about their family, bump them, and try to act all tough behind a phone, I'm sorry. I am sorry. You have no class, and you could take it. Maybe you don't care to hear it from me because I'm just some guy in Canada doing a podcast, but literally, you're irrelevant, dude. Okay, Jason Kelce actually has left his footmark and is leaving his footmark.
But the worst part is now is that people are like, well, who was the guy?
Right?
Who was the guy? And and like, he's gonna get a couple likes. People like that.
Yeah, people love that. People love that. They think that's cool. They just go up in someone's face. Oh, he stood up to Jason Kelce. No.
Yeah. Anyways,
the trade deadline stuff. Sorry, winners. I want to say back to that. Okay, the Commanders. Oh my, where the hell did this team come from this year? Okay, like they drafted LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. Okay, and I'm looking. I just got a little quote to myself here. What I think is a very good quote. Quote unquote. What a difference a year makes. This time in 2023, Washington was trading its best defender, pass rusher, Sweat, there's an A there. Montez Sweat to the Bears, in a move that would help change the course of the franchise's history. By worsening the defense and taking the second half of the season, Washington lost its final 8 games last year. The Commanders earned the second overall pick in the draft, which became Jaden Daniels. Now with Daniels under the center at QB, Washington is 7-2. The team is jockeying not just for the lead in the NFC East, but the number 1 overall seed in the conference. Okay. And it's a buyer at the deadline. And on Tuesday, Washington sent a 3rd, 4th, and 6th round pick to the Saints for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th rounder, a deal that signals the Commanders are officially going for the NFC crown, end unquote. That's Danny Hevitz is who said that on the ringer.com. It's a thing I screenshot to myself because I couldn't agree more that the Commanders are serious contenders, and that is a great move to add a corner. I know I just ate up about 80-ish seconds of reading that quote, but it's so right, Justin. They are for real, and it's time to take note.
I mean, their division's wide open. Every other team sucks. Well, I mean, the Eagles aren't bad, but the Eagles are like struggling to keep it going.
Yeah.
Like if they lost to Jacksonville on the weekend there, I thought they were going to fire Sirianni. Like that fourth quarter where he was coaching for his job, I thought that was. I mean, and the Giants playing in Germany this weekend against Carolina, like that game is pretty well for the first overall pick in the draft. Whoever loses that game gets the first overall pick because there's 9 teams with 2 wins. Those are the 2 worst. I would say those 2 teams, the Panthers and the Giants, are the most likely to not win many more games this season.
Yep. No,
so
there's no chance. And I think the Panthers are the worst out of the 2 for real. But I can't believe how far off Jones has fell off a cliff, man. I feel they gave him the bag, and it's unbelievable.
He Rick DiPietro'd them.
Oh, did he ever? That's a great example. And New York knows what that means.
Now it's just going to be lurking on Nesson somewhere doing like second intermission shows. Like
I know what there was one other quote I want to share. Losers. This is an interesting take on a loser. Loser, I don't mean loser, just losers, the deadline. As a scope. Devontae Adams and friends of Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers lost Mike Williams. All right, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I didn't think he wanted him there.
No, he talked highly about him on the McAfee show. All right, he talked highly. He's a good guy, good in the locker room. Okay, but honestly, you got to say that Adams trade I thought would make that immediate impact. Didn't work. He was nothing that first game against the Steelers. He got some touches after, but the Jets aren't living up to expectations. Right. Winners again. I'll go back to that. Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin was another one that was listed. But the Steelers overall, I think that was a good win at the trade deadline, adding some depth at receiver. But the Lions getting Smith, that is my favorite trade of the day. It's not just the Commanders. I think the Lions are the deal. They are a real deal. The real deal. The Lions.
They're the team to beat right now. I mean, that's and they're fun to watch. Like they're just
so fun. And expensive to watch now too.
I remember the days of the old $60 Lions tickets. I think we're long past that. I have to go to New York for $60 tickets now.
Or Carolina.
Carolina, I think they're about $2.14. That's
it's $2.70 because they're $2.70. Every time they lose, it goes $2.80. It goes up in price as they lose because it's a historic year for them.
I don't know if that's a good pricing structure. I don't think that's going to work out.
No, it's not.
But
now, games last week. If you had a game of the week, what was your game of the week last week? For week 9.
Honestly, that Monday nighter.
Right.
KC and the Bucks. The Bucks had that, and the coach just squandered it right at the end of regulation.
Yep.
But I mean, good. Like the Bucks are doing a whole lot with fuck all. Like their receivers, like Cade Otton and the running backs, Baker Mayfield making it happen. That defense is bend don't break. The Bucks are kind of a fun team to watch. I mean, any game KC is in, if their opponent plays with them, it's going to be a good game. But the Bucks are entertaining. Like they kind of have no business being in the games that they're in, no business on paper. Who am I to say anything? But honestly, like the Bucks and KC, you looked at that one on the schedule and went, wow, let's see what's hockey's on or something. And then all of a sudden at halftime, you're like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here?
It's exciting. Baker Mayfield, dude, I love how he revamped his career in Tampa. I love the stories, and just like I think Donald's doing well with Minnesota, right? It's sorry Carolina, sorry Browns fans. giving up on people too early or just the fit isn't there. We talked about this in this podcast already.
Yeah, we've talked about it till we're blue in the face. I mean, it's just safe to talk about Baker while EJ's not here. So
100%. But now week 10, Justin, we're going to get towards the end of our In the Pocket segment because we went down a rabbit hole a little bit there, and I don't want to eat too much.
That's all we're talking about. The boys and girls out there need just a little respect. It's going to be the word for 2025. Respect. And then you can remind me in May when the Leafs, inevitably. But anyways, let's week 10. Let's do a little quick recap here on the standings, and then we'll get into week 10.
Yeah, let's do that. The pick'em, I thought I was hot. I was perfect until mid-afternoon Sunday. I thought I was going to have my perfect week, but that didn't happen. But please remind us of the standings, and then we'll have our pick'ems, and then maybe we'll do a game of the week for that or any final news before we wrap up tonight, Justin.
All right, so we got the Kegger's Gridiron pick still in first, 94 points. EJ falling back a little bit. The Browns at 91. And I'm still a solid 10 behind Dave at 84 here. So picking the Colts, again, has not worked out for me this year. Terrible strategy.
Love it. Now, I'll go first this week because I think I got a surprise pick for people.
I just don't want to copy mine this week, I see.
That's it. I don't want to. And if anyone wants to, my success rate this year is 68% accuracy. I'm 94 and 44. My first week, 15-1. That was so exciting. I thought I was going to have a perfect week last week. Didn't happen. Going from top to bottom. Thursday night are starting, of course. I got the Ravens over the Bengals. I got the Giants over the Panthers in Germany. The Bears over the Patriots. The Bills over the Colts. The Chiefs over the Broncos. Falcons over the Saints. Buccaneers over the 49ers. One of my maybe surprise picks. Here's the surprise pick. I got the Commanders over the Steelers. I'm a Steeler fan. Telling you that. I'm not biased. I've said this on this show, and I hope I'm wrong, though. Hope I'm wrong. I am voting against the team that I cheer for wholeheartedly, but the Commanders are a wagon. Steelers are also a wagon, but at home and for respect of the pick, I'm going with the Commanders. Go Steelers. Vikings over the Jaguars. Chargers over the Titans. Eagles over the Cowboys. Jets over the Cardinals. Maybe that's another surprise pick for people. Lions over the Texans. Yeah, they're just can't go against the Lions. Rams over the Dolphins. I was actually very hesitant to go the Dolphins this week. I feel like Tua is going to have a bounce back week, but Rams at home. If it was Dolphins were at home, it'd be the Dolphins for me. I got 28-21 Rams over the Dolphins for the tiebreaker game score. The second score, I got 34 Lions, and I got Texans 28. Going to be a little bit of a shootout. Most points this week, Kansas City going off this week. Least points, maybe a little bit of surprise. I didn't go with Carolina this week because they're playing the Giants. I got the Tennessee Titans with the least points this week. Hike.
All right. Well, Thursday night, I get the Ravens over the Bengals. Sunday morning in Germany, I've got Carolina over the Giants. New England over Chicago because New England's been hanging around in games. I mean, I don't necessarily know they can win it, but they've been hanging around. And Chicago looked terrible last weekend. Buffalo over the Colts, probably the kiss of death for the Bills. KC over Denver, Atlanta over the Saints. And that Atlanta over the Saints is probably a trap game right there because New Orleans has a new head coach. So there's always that new head coach hustle going on. San Fran over Tampa, just because San Fran's coming off the bye week. Pittsburgh over Washington, Minnesota over Jacksonville, Chargers over Tennessee, Philly over that team from Dallas, Arizona over the Jets, Detroit over Houston, Rams over Miami. I got the Rams 28-17 on Monday night, and Detroit 54, Houston 21.
There it is, 54.
Lions
54
just coming
points.
out and slapping it on the table on Sunday night. Dan Campbell football. Most points this week, Detroit. Fewest points this week, Daniel Jones getting lost in Europe somewhere.
I can't. That team, oh my God. The Jets, the Giants, doesn't matter where you are in New York right now. Gone are the days of Eli. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's rough to be in New York right now. That's
New York Yankees losing to the Dodgers. Whoa.
blowing it
blowing it hard. Very hard. Now, That is the pick 'em for this week. Let us know who you think will be winning this week and who will win between me and Justin. And yes, EJ has been picking. Obviously, seems like he misses the odd Thursday night, so that's his own fault. A couple points maybe he could have got there, but nonetheless.
Well, it's only on Prime in the States. We got the luxury of it being on like national TV in Canada, so maybe he just forgets. I don't know.
True. Game of the week this week, Justin, and then we'll wrap up.
All right, my quick game of the week this week. I'm going to say Washington-Pittsburgh.
Love it. I'm actually going to be boring as hell, and I'm actually saying the same thing. And not Eagles, Cowboys, not America's teams together. No, I'm going Washington, Pittsburgh. I think that game's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be a little bit back and forth. Defenses are going to be hot, but there's going to be some touchdowns. It's going to have a whole bunch in that game. And like I said, I may have chosen the Commanders, but everyone knows what I'm cheering for. I just got to keep my first place and dethrone EJ. And maybe I just wanted to change it up because I've picked the Steelers every week, and I don't think the Steelers are going to have a perfect season. But again, hope I am wrong. But that is my game of the week as well. Let us know what you think below. Now, Justin, we've talked a lot on this episode. Okay, we've had baseball in the first segment. Okay, the final strike zone segment of the season, technically, until some big signings this year into the offseason. Second segment, we had Alex Parr come on. It was our top shelf segment. We talked hockey. We went into the Botterill discussion and the TikTok that we actually brought up on here briefly on this segment. Of course, we've had In the Pocket. So baseball, hockey, and football. Okay, spread out between 2 days of pre-recording for our Thursday upload. And soon to be the Game Sports Podcast on Spaces. Getting the notifications that mid-November is going to be the launch. It was expected to be a little bit earlier, but it's been pushed a little bit further just to ensure perfection on the application. So Spaces, Sault Today Space, that is located in Sault Ste. Marie. It's Sault Today. There's Toronto today. It's connected with Village Media is what operates Spaces. That the Game Sports Podcast will be the main host on the hockey and the sports segment. You got to make sure you check that out. Very exciting. The Game Sports Podcast for In the Pocket was sponsored by Sports Center Bar and Grill. We always give them, of course, shout out, original home of the game. And overall, powered by 91 Network is the Game Sports Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. That's especially, it looks like people found us on TikTok now. Okay, a couple extra follows on that post. We appreciate you. I guess you liked that post. And a couple maybe there's been no unfollows, so we appreciate that as well. Overall, though, if you're heading on over to the TikTok page, hit that follow, hit that like, interact with us. Any interaction you do, the algorithm helps us, so we appreciate it. We're also on YouTube through 91 Network, as I mentioned, and our shorts are on there. Make sure you check that out, and Facebook. You can find us on there as well. Now, we gave a birthday shout out already when we had Connor on the show. To a friend that we played baseball with, but obviously November is going to be quite the busy month. Okay, it's my mom's birthday, it's my wife's birthday. November is a busy time.
It's also Sid's birthday, so
and Sid's birthday.
Big two this year.
Your daughter's too. My goodness, time is flying by.
Oh yeah, we I can hear her on the other side of the door here right now. We watch hockey for 15 minutes before she goes to bed every night. So.
Oh, that's her thing. She's waiting for hockey.
Yeah, she's saying hockey.
Oh,
hockey.
She natural.
Honestly, though, big basketball fan. She loves. She got a little basketball net in the basement.
And as I wear the 30, my mom got this at a Raptor game.
That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's got the purple. I had to give love, especially to Vince Carter. Man, finally, that was so great to see. Toronto, thank you. Thank you for giving that man the respect he deserves. And as Justin said, the word of 2025. Respect. That's all. Okay? Just respect. Try it sometime.
It's a good
It's really nice. It's really nice. Respect. Might be the title. RESPECT.
Don't fucking sing it. Don't.
I know I could sing.
Dave, we just said it. Respect. Don't sing it.
Done. Respect. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Connor Henderson. Thank you to Alex Parr. And to you, of course, Justin. Till next week, my friend.
Yeah, sorry, there was a bit of a delay there. It's we got a big weekend coming up here. Thursday night game should be good. Sunday morning game, battle for first round pick, and then that Steelers Commanders game. So should be some juicy football, and then the Lions putting up 600 points Sunday night. So,
and this weekend there will be a special video, Justin. I thought I would end on that. The special video. Do you want to know what that is?
No, I like surprises.
Oh. I owe someone something, and now he's picking up what I'm putting down. Maybe you didn't know what I'm talking about, listeners, but maybe you have to tune into our TikTok channel to see what that is. Yeah, I'm doing it on there. This has been the Game Sports Podcast on behalf of Alex, on behalf of Connor, of course, on behalf of Justin, and all of us here at the game, including myself, David McCaig, host of the Game Sports Podcast. We will see you next week here on the game. And until then, I'm here to remind you, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.